Coming to you from our studios in Belize City, this is the evening news on Love Television for today, Thursday, June 9th. Let's get you started with a look at the top stories. Belize Bank wins appeal against the government of Belize. Flags to be flown at half-mast on Friday in memory of American boxer Muhammad Ali. Belize Progressive Party maintains its stance against the Guatemalan dispute, going to the International Court of Justice. Ministry of Education offers scholarships to pursue career in education, and Belize Bureau of Standards receives International Organization for Standardization certifications. With the Thursday edition of Love Television's Evening News, I am Renee Trujillo. A few weeks ago, we reported on the almost $9 million award that the government of Belize will have to find in the case with Newco. That case stemmed from a contract signed under the Musa administration for the management of the international airport. While that award was confirmed in the U.S. Court of Appeal, there is another award for over $19 million against the government of Belize and in favor of Belize Bank. That judgment came yesterday out of the District of Columbia, USA, where a federal judge ruled on the arbitration award issued to Belize Bank in the 2004 debt guarantee that the government of Belize made for the Universal Health Services, once again under the administration of then Prime Minister Said Musa. According to the lawsuit brought by the Belize Bank, a settlement agreement was entered into with the government of Belize in 2007 for $33 million Belize dollars when Universal Health Services had proven unable to pay. But the government failed to come up with the payments, and subsequently the bank began arbitration proceedings in the London Court of International Arbitration. In 2008, however, the proceedings came to a halt when the parties settled. 3 months after that, a new government was elected in Belize, and the Belize Bank went back to the London court in April 2008 when the new Belize government filed a lawsuit in Belize Supreme Court to nullify the original loan settlement on the grounds that it was invalid. According to the bank, the next several years of arbitration proceedings culminated in a 2013 award of $36.9 million Belize dollars, or roughly $18.5 million US dollars today, plus legal costs and interest. The bank filed its petition in U.S. Federal District Court in Washington, D.C., following the government's alleged failure to pay that award. According to Belize, the award is based on sham agreements that lacked proper authority by the National Assembly. Three-time world heavyweight champion boxer and human rights advocate Muhammad Ali died last Friday after a long bout of illness. Today, thousands of mourners gathered for a Muslim funeral service in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. Tomorrow, thousands more are expected as an interfaith service will be held to remember Ali. As a mark of respect and tribute to his memory, the government of Belize has ordered that Belize flags be flown at half-mast on all official buildings tomorrow. Muhammad Ali visited Belize, then British Honduras, in 1965. Muhammad Ali was 74 years old at the time of his death. The age-old unfounded Guatemala claim remains an issue that successive governments have had to address. Since 2008, following the signing of a compromise between Belize and Guatemala with the support of the Organization of American States, it appears that the issue is headed to the International Court of Justice, pending the results of a referendum. Going to the ICJ does not sit well with a large number of Belizeans who argue that Belize has nothing to gain by doing so. The Belize Progressive Party has maintained that the ICJ is not the only option to get the matter settled. In fact, they claim the two major political parties have done everything in their power to confuse the Belizean people. Paco Smith, a chairman of the Belize Progressive Party, says going to the International Court of Justice is taking a huge risk.
As matters stand right now under the compromise that was signed in 2008, if the Belizean public vote to go to the ICJ, Number one, well, we already mentioned that we don't know precisely what Guatemala is asking. Number two, it's a binding decision that is unappealable, right? With the specter of Guatemala wanting at least half of our country, the risks going that route far outweigh whatever potential benefits the powers that be are saying we can derive from going to the ICJ. Now, to directly answer your question, yes, there is a possibility that the UN Security Council may say, okay, well, we decide you should take it to the ICJ. But in so doing, by virtue of taking it to the UN Security Council, that will in effect recalibrate Belize's foreign policy with regards to this. Because the crux of the matter is this: going to the ICJ or going to referendum under the aegis of the current compromise, it's not in Belize's favor by any stretch of the imagination.
The BPP has 3 steps as proposed solutions. The first would be taking the compromise document to the Senate for it to be ratified. The second step proposed is removing ceding territory so that the public has an input, which would be to amend the clauses so that there is an option of ruling monetary compensation in the event Belize loses at the ICJ. The third step is to force Guatemala to go to the UN National Security.
Taking this matter to the UN Security Council, yes, they may say, we recommend that we get a recommendation from the ICJ, but that will reset the button in terms of how Belize is addressing this issue. So it's a recalibration.
Robert Lopez, treasurer of the BPP, has raised a concern about the absence of the British military in the dispute.
If I may add, that one of the things that we feel is very, very necessary is where is Britain in all of this? We know that Britain is supporting financially from the outset the Guatemala-Belize confidence building measures. In fact, we know that it was Britain that funded our Prime Minister now when he went for his Spanish lessons in Guatemala to get him a little more versed in Spanish so that he can be a part of this. So we know that Britain is behind the scenes funding a lot of this that is taking place. But where is Britain in actually bringing itself back in? And we've been calling for that, and our political leader has been very, very vehement about calling for Britain to get back. Let's have it as a Belize, Guatemala, United Kingdom, Britain, whatever, England dispute, and let's settle it based on that, because we feel that in keeping with the resolution that says that any settlement should not affect the territorial integrity and sovereignty.
Last weekend, we told you about BPP's Louis Espat, who had protested against the Guatemalan rides that come to Belize annually. When Love News spoke to the operators, we learned that the protests actually affected their income. Today at the press conference, Espat was commended for his good act, and the Belize Progressive Party went a step further in their plans for boycotting. Public Relations Director Charles Leslie Jr. spoke about their campaign.
Brother Espat went out to our bar and he protested, and he had an impact. Hundreds of people may not have joined him, but hundreds of people didn't show up to those rides, those Guatemalan-owned rides. So we are calling, and we're continuing this call and the civil disobedience to boycott all Guatemalan products. Yes. And we move as far as saying we need to start boycotting all Belizean businesses that sell Guatemalan products. We don't need to pick up a gun to make change in this country. We don't need to burn tires in the streets, and we don't need to break anything. Our pocket is more powerful than Guatemala's pocket. Our money is worth more, it's valued more. So it's time for us to start speaking with our pockets.
And while the BPP is calling for a boycott of Guatemalan products, in our newscast last night, we brought you the views of Mayor Darrell Bradley as they relate to the recent boycotting activities undertaken by some Belizeans. Mayor Bradley does not support the endeavor, and neither does Foreign Minister Wilfred Elrington. Minister Elrington says that it goes beyond commerce and that Belizeans should look to have a harmonious relationship with Guatemala.
Ideally, we need to separate that claim from the rest of our relationship. Belizeans get sick, they have to run to Guatemala. It's a close place, it is a cheap place, it's an easy place to access. You get good medical attention, you get good educational attention. The Guatemalans buying a lot of our products, Guatemalans working in our country, providing a lot of the labor. We go over there for studies. So we have to see them as, in fact, a partner. In one area of our endeavor, we have a difficulty with them, and that we have to deal with in a very professional way. And it is being dealt with in a professional way, both by our military as well as by our diplomats. But in the other areas, recently they had a run which we participated in. Unfortunately, they at least did not come over. We had a Codica there because of this incident, but historically they have been coming across. Their people come across and buy your products. We go across and buy their products. As a matter of fact, you had their people demonstrating against their government because the absence of Belizeans going over there to purchase from them and to bank with them is causing them serious loss in economic activity. But the ideal situation is for us to be able to have a harmonious relationship with them in every aspect, because we are going to live with them for the rest of our lives. And so it is best to have them as friends as to have them as enemies, antagonists, and the like. And that is the kind of message that we have got to project to our people, so that our people understand the relationship.
Promotion of the boycotting efforts and appeals are being done through social media, and for the most part, it seems to be having an impact, as there were protests in Melchor Dominguez by vendors who were appealing to the Guatemalan government to drop the claim, as their businesses are being negatively impacted. When the mechanical rides were here in recent weeks, the operators admitted to Love News that they did not make as much money as they used to in previous years. If the boycott efforts continue, the vendors will feel the pinch as the new school year is coming up, and there is an appeal for parents to purchase their uniform materials locally and have them manufactured by Belizean seamstresses and tailors. We have heard Minister Wilfred Elrington speaking of his opposition to the boycotting endeavors taken on by Belizean citizens. But just how much trade does Belize benefit from when it comes to Belize's exports to Guatemala? According to figures reaching Love News, for the year 2015, those exports total to $5.6 million, with the trade items being listed as corn, shrimp and lobster, vehicles and transport equipment, machinery and mechanical appliances, and parts, scrap metal, fabrics, fruits, apparel, oil-based products, and prepared foods. Of these items, corn showed the highest figures, totaling $1.2 million. As it relates to the total exports from Guatemala to Belize for 2015, Belize has contributed 15 times what Guatemala has contributed to Belize when it comes to exports and imports. The figures show that in 2015 alone, Guatemala exported about $85.5 million of their products to Belize. These fall under the same categories we listed earlier, with petroleum products showing the highest amount, which is $12.1 million. Earlier this week, we told you the Foreign Affairs Minister speaking on the Plett plight, which occurred last month. 21-year-old Roger Plett is saying that he was taken against his will over to Guatemala, and his tractor was taken as well as their bulldozer. It is the case that Plett and his family took to the police and had turned to the media after he made no headway with the authorities. The media asked Minister Wilfred Elrington, in which he classified the matter as a case of borrowing or commandeering of Plett's equipment. In other words, the Guatemalans were justified.
Particularly now that we have so many disasters, because I can assure you that given the problems we are having with climate change, we will have problems with fires coming both from Guatemala into Belize as well as from fires going into Guatemala. We'll have problems with floods. We will have all kinds of problems, and we will require the assistance of Guatemala, just like how we'll need the Mexicans to help us. and we will help them. So I think we have to start to understand that we are our brother's keeper in this kind of thing, and we can't get offended by every action that is taken. When you take something with the intention permanently to deprive the person thereof, then that's stealing. But if I just borrow it from you, to prevent my house or my country from being burnt down, I don't think people would. I'll tell you this. Recently, there's a case, in Europe. This guy was caught stealing food in a big supermarket, and they charged him for theft, took him to court, and the judge ruled that he wasn't stealing because he was hungry. He took it by necessity. The law is changing, the law evolves. If he had gone to court here, he'd have gone to jail probably for 5 years, try to get some food. But in Europe, the law is evolving. And they said, no, this is a man who, had he not gotten this food, he probably would have died from hunger. So he's not guilty of an offense.
In related news, as it relates to the fires that the Guatemalans were trying to extinguish on their side with PLETS equipment, there was a recent online publication which spoke of the reasons for the surge in these bushfires. According to www.telesurtv.net, forest fires have decimated over 20,000 acres of the northern Guatemalan Petén jungle, a prime hangout for drug traffickers smuggling cocaine northward. Drug cartels are likely largely responsible for raging forest fires ravaging northern Guatemala as kingpins literally blaze a trail for trafficking routes and covert landing strips in forests near the border with Mexico and Belize. Another article wrote, quote, drug traffickers burning down Guatemalan forests to make clandestine landing strips for planes carrying U.S.-bound cocaine have raised an area twice the size of Manhattan this year. The Central American country has declared a state of emergency over the fires ravaging its forests, which have hit hardest along its northern border with Mexico and Belize, prime territory for drug gangs. The region known as Petén is known for the riches lying in its forests, including the Maya Biosphere Reserve and archaeological treasures, such as the ancient city of Tikal, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But those dense forests are also strategically placed hideouts for cartels trafficking cocaine from South America to the U.S. Of the nearly 30,000 acres Guatemala has lost to forest fires since January, Petén accounts for more than 3/4. Officials say drug gangs burn the forest to make new landing strips for the small planes they use to transport cocaine, as well as to grow crops such as opium and marijuana. Powerful Mexican drug cartels have made significant inroads in Guatemala in recent years, partnering with local gangs to turn the country into a major hub for transport and money laundering. That was the strategy of recently recaptured Mexican kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, considered the world's most wanted drug lord. His Sinaloa cartel is now the biggest narcotics outfit operating in Guatemala, according to the Interior Ministry. There is no easy fix for the problem, said environmentalist Luis Romero of the Wildlife Conservation Society. The problem may be even worse than the authorities realize, he added, saying a new estimate was needed to update the official figure of over 20,000 acres lost in Petén. By declaring an emergency, the government hopes to access help from international aid organizations, including funds, fuel, and food for its trained firefighters. Reinforcements have already begun arriving. On Sunday, Mexico sent a helicopter to Petén to help battle the fires, which are starting to subside as the rainy season sets in. Guatemalan officials say drug traffickers are not the only reason for the fires, but they're also blaming other factors, including slash and burn agriculture by local farmers. The BPP had condemned the military provocation by Guatemala when a reported 3,000 Guatemalan armed forces were sent to the Sarstún. The BPP had offered to organize a Belize People's Brigade, which would alter the Belize Territorial Volunteers into an additional support outfit comprised of citizen volunteers that would be trained and retired and former Belize security personnel. When asked if the BPP wanted a military solution, Paco Smith, chairman, says that was not the intention.
We never called for a military solution to this situation. We want to make that absolutely clear. But in terms of what was called for is indicative of planning in advance. Basically, we know we have a bellicose and very, very belligerent neighbor next door who's much bigger than us. There's no question about that. But the bottom line is this. As Belizeans, we have to be ready and willing to die for this nation, right? I mean, any Belizean that tells me that he or she's not willing to die for Belize, I have to kind of question their patriotism. In terms of what we were calling for, and to be specific, we were calling for the BPP to mobilize or become useful in setting up an auxiliary unit that can augment the security forces. That's within our gambit. That's what we can do. Ambit, excuse me. With regards to the call for Belize as a nation to increase its military, yes, we did make that call. And it's based on the premise that we have to stand up for Belize. We can't expect the British to come and fight for us. We can't expect Mexico to come and fight for us. We have to be willing to shed blood here.
The BPP had also called on the government to immediately implement a plan to increase our armed forces to at least 10,000 full-time enlisted men and women, with an additional 20,000 reserve. The Ministry of Education is offering opportunities for high school graduates who want to pursue a career in education. The ministry is offering full scholarships to fund associate's degree in primary education. Chief Education Officer Carol Babb tells us more.
We are trying to promote the profession of teaching. As you know, teachers are very important persons in our society. Teachers mold the future. They are responsible for all the other professions, and we want to ensure that we have the brightest and best in our classrooms to ensure that our students get the best quality education. So what are we doing to ensure that we get the best? Students who are successful with 6 CXC, if they are interested in becoming a teacher and you pass 6 CXC, we will give you a full scholarship if you want to become a teacher, and that includes tuition, books, and other fees. But of course, you must pass English and math too. We are saying to young people who are going to junior college, there is a need for teachers, and if you want a very promising career, I'm a teacher by education, and I can say it's a wonderful and rewarding career. And I want to encourage young persons who are graduating from high school to join the teaching career.
Dr. Babb also commented on the availability of placement for potential graduates.
I believe there will be placement for them because a large number of our teachers, remember, some will be exiting the profession as well. Some teachers will be retiring. Some teachers their licenses will expire for whatever reasons, and there will always be the need for teachers. Right now, we have a large number of students with associate degree, but it's in something other than in education. And when they join the teaching profession, then they have to do a cert ed course if they want to get a full license. We're saying to students who are going into sixth form, there's a career out there for you, a rewarding career. If you are interested and you have 6 CXC, including math and English with grade 1, 2, or 3, we will give you a full scholarship. The Ministry of Education is investing in teachers, realizing that teachers mold the future of this country.
More information can be obtained from the Ministry of Education. In our conversation with Dr. Carol Babb yesterday, one of the aspects of education that we discussed was a change in the role of teachers. According to Chief Education Officer Dr. Carol Babb and Youth Advocate Annie Palacio, problems at home have trickled down into the classroom and reflect in the behavior and needs of the students.
It is a more stressful job because I can say when I was a young teacher, we didn't have the problem of children that come. We didn't have a lot of problem. We had some, but not large numbers of students coming to school without having breakfast. That is increasing every day. So now schools have to have feeding programs. Children are coming with more behavioral problems. We have to have counselors. But the ministry is trying to do its best to reach and to meet all the needs of students. We can't do 100%, but we are trying. And we have feeding programs in place for students who need it. We have counselors, not as many as we would like, but those students who need it have access to counselors.
Many of our young people come to classrooms with so many problems, and hence the reason why the teachers are so overwhelmed, because you are trained as a teacher to go in and impart knowledge, but then you find yourself less imparting knowledge and being more of a counselor, a mother, a judge. And so you lose focus on your what you're there for, because of the so many problems that the students have, and there's no way a teacher can impart knowledge when a classroom is disruptive. So it doesn't only affect the parent or the home, but it goes into the school, and that spirals out of control into community, hence the reason why we have so many problems with our young people right now.
Dr. Babb spoke about the preparation for new teachers obtained and said that training to deal with classroom demands is a priority. Belize Bureau of Standards celebrated World Accreditation Day today. BBS's job is to facilitate, promote, and encourage the use of quality services and standardization, as well as facilitation of trade and the protection of consumers. Minister in the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Commerce, Tracy Tager-Panton, spoke about what it means to celebrate this day.
For some time now, the government of Belize, in conjunction with its Bureau of Standards, have been working at improving Belize's national quality infrastructure in terms of our standards, not only for products and goods, but also for services. The Bureau is the agency that is tasked with the responsibility to implement a quality infrastructure for the country, and therefore it becoming certified in terms of quality management systems gives it the proper framework in which to develop standards across sectors that will help us to meet the international norms and expectations.
While celebrating World Accreditation Day, Belize Bureau of Standards boasted their new certificate from the International Organization for Standardization. The certificate recognizes that the Belize Bureau of Standards has met the requirements of the ISO. Director of the Belize Bureau of Standards, Jose Trejo, spoke about what it means to become certified.
It relates to our certification today. The Bureau of Standards is now certified to the ISO 9001-2008 Quality Management System Standard. And what this means now that the Bureau actually, based on that standard, conforms to all those requirements that are laid out in the standard. It means that our document procedures, our controls, the system in which we operate is now at a level of high level in terms of efficiency and effectiveness in terms of how we operate the organization. It is primarily geared to ensure that we serve the public at the highest level, and this is an accomplishment for us because we're the first government department to ever be certified to this standard, and we hope that with this accomplishment we are setting the pace for other public departments and ministries to become certified. You will find a lot of the complaints we get in the public service and of the public service is the poor services in terms of the delivery of those services. So we are now held to this standard. This Bureau of Standards is being held to this international standard to operate using the standard as its reference. So
Panton spoke about keeping up the standards with little resources.
I think in any developing country, enforcement and monitoring has always been a challenge, and Belize is no different in that. I think if we each develop a culture that strives to have excellence and strive to meet standards and and quality standards and put in place quality infrastructure, we will develop that culture and it will then become a self-monitoring mechanism. Let me say that such certification is done by a third party. The monitoring and evaluation in terms of that we maintain the systems and processes in place is being audited by a third party, and it's certainly not an audit within ourselves.
Belize is the fourth country in the region to become certified. A mid-afternoon accident on the George Price Highway sent 4 people to the hospital this evening. The collision involved 3 vehicles, a delivery truck, an SUV, and a Belize Telecommunications Limited double cab Isuzu pickup. The driver of the delivery truck spoke with Love News.
I'm gonna head towards Belmopan when the BTL D-Max just swerved into my lane and knocked into my truck, and then he hit the vehicle behind. Well, then we had a second vehicle behind me where he just managed to come off of the road and he got in the bushes. And then he managed to hit the third vehicle behind me. My wife will drive the vehicle and she's at the hospital right now and I don't know what happened. I jumped out of my vehicle. When I reached out and there had some people and we don't take out the BTL guy, he just made a lay down. He may look alright, nothing serious. And when my wife, she just made a complaint about pain in her foot and back. And I guess my brother, he made it in the vehicle and he just made he had some pains in the chest. Basically what I say.
Guillermo Canto's wife Vanessa spoke with Love News from the hospital about the accident and the injuries she sustained.
I was traveling behind my husband. He was coming from Chetumal when the BTL driver, the car, came into my husband's lane, crashed my husband. They broke his wheel. My husband ran off of the road. There was a green Cherokee car in front of us. The driver actually managed to dodge it and run into the drain, but I couldn't miss it. So same BTL driver came and hit us. This was at 2:05, I believe. The driver came out apologizing, walking. I said he was sorry for the accident. He didn't know what happened. Now we're right here at the hospital. My brother-in-law right now is in ultrasound. They're Sergio Canto. He's being checked for internal bleeding. I'm right here just coming out of X-rays. I have a fracture in my hand, my left hand. My ankles, they say I have to go to orthopedic because it has some fracture. But other than that, we're okay. My husband, Guillermo Canto, thank God he's okay. Irvin was coming with him, the next worker. Thank God they're okay. Right now they're trying to figure out what's going to happen. They stayed at the scene of the accident, trying to figure out how to move our stuff because our trucks are loaded with our products.
A BTL representative confirmed that the employee driving the vehicle involved in the incident was Mark Anderson. They could not confirm any further information regarding the incident or Anderson's condition. During the drawing of the weekly Sunday lottery in April, the multi-pick machine malfunctioned. That caused an uproar with passionate lottery buyers. At the time, Brads, who runs the lottery, promised that they would bring in a technician to repair the machine. It has been some weeks, but as promised, a technician from Smart Play International from New Jersey arrived in Belize to deal with the faulty equipment. We spoke to Randy Kraft, service manager, who told us about his visit and what the repairs entailed.
We have manufactured these machines for Brads, and we do this is more or less a preventative maintenance visit as well as an emergency visit to see if we can diagnose a problem that they had with the machine. The number 2 slide did not open to select a ball, and so we looked over it, and there was a couple of parts that we did change out to make sure it doesn't happen again, and I feel confident that we did find it even though there was nothing specifically wrong that we found.
While Kraft could not tell us specifically what caused the machine to malfunction, he says they're confident that all is well now.
It's a mechanical machine, so things do break, and there are issues with things, but we're pretty very confident actually that there won't be any major issues in the future. This particular time there was a specific problem which we cannot duplicate now. We've replaced a couple of parts, and right now it's running perfectly.
Last week, a group of 16, including fishers from Eastern Caribbean islands, visited Belize. Sherry Constantine, Program Manager of the Nature Conservancy, Eastern Caribbean, gives us an overview of their climate resilience project that includes the Fisher Exchange to Belize.
The project is about marine managed areas, and everyone knows that when you establish a marine managed area, the fisher and the fisher interests rise to the surface. And so we try to make sure that we educate the fishers, we strengthen their capacity, we help build their fisher organizations so that they can have more of a say and a stake in the management of their activities. So far we've had one fisher exchange to the Tobago Keys Marine Park, Union Islands, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and that was in September of last year. And this year we have the second fisher exchange to Belize. It is interesting that some of the concerns that they have here in Belize are very similar to some of the concerns that our fishers have back home in the 6 countries. And so we're hoping that part of the sharing that we've had so far will allow them to recognize that it's not unique, that the issues are not unique, but also it will allow our fishers to see that their issues are not unique either, and that they can learn from the Belizean fishers.
During their visit to the Toledo Institute for Development and Environment, TIDE, Executive Director Celia Mahung gave an overview of the organization, particularly the establishment and management of the Port Honduras Marine Reserve and specific investments made in communities with funding from various donors. Among those projects highlighted were the establishment of a restaurant in Punta Negra, 40 high school scholarships, fruit drying facility for women fishers, tour guide trainings, docking facilities in Punta Negra and Monkey River, community researchers program, and the annual Tide Freshwater Cup in 14 communities. Caribbean fishers also visited the Port Honduras Marine Reserve, where they learned of the day-to-day challenges and success stories from Tide Park Rangers. Today's program continued with discussions in Monkey River and Punta Negra fishers and a football match with PG Fisher folks. The group of Caribbean fishers completed their travel to Belize with a visit to Placencia to meet with personnel from Southern Environmental Association SEA and fishing representatives. Gary Gore of MIPA Trust in Antigua and Bermuda shared his experience in Belize.
What I've noticed here in Belize, from the extreme northern to the southern area, which we are now in the southern area, is a significant community development, a care for the marine ecosystem. I also noticed that the services are fully utilized by the people. It's an all-inclusive governance of the resource in a very sustainable way. And we also visited the Tide, which hosted us here in the southern area. And it's the typical NGO that looks out for the marine ecosystem, and they employ a community, all-inclusive system, which I truly admire with the Tide. So for me, the Tide is a very good organization that is doing well for the people here in Belize.
Glenroy Gashard, a fisher from St. Kitts and Nevis, also shared his experience with Love News.
We went on different field trips, and what I noticed about the fishers here and the island itself, they're all protecting the marine reserve. It seems like it's a community-based effort, which I like about that. The fishermen are much interested in protecting their own turf. That I particularly like about it, because the fishermen in one area do not fish in the other area, so that's an interesting prospect. And in my country, we're trying to implement the the MPA, the Marine Protected Areas, and that is the main reason why we're here. We are looking for a model.
In other news, in celebration of Fishers Month, the Toledo Institute for Development and Environment, TAD, in collaboration with the Belize Fisheries Department, hosted its second Managed Access Fishing Forum for this year at the Cattle Landing Community Center. TAD Science Director James Foley presented an analysis of catch data collected by Managed Access Fishers in 2015. It was noted that catch data submitted in 2015 was less than 2014. However, fishers targeted a wider variety of fish species. A lengthy discussion occurred on possible reasons for that observation, and fishers were encouraged to record and submit accurate catch data. Coordinator Denise Garcia updated fishers of National Managed Access rollout activities, such as designated fishing areas, color coding of boats, and the function of a Managed Access Committee. A final session of the forum reviewed how catch data is accurately recorded in catch logbooks before submitted to the Fisheries Department. The day ended with a football game that included local fishing teams and visiting Eastern Caribbean team. Campaign financing is one of the areas the Belize Progressive Party has been very serious about. The party has been challenging the two major political parties to put in place a transparent manner of revealing exactly how they are being funded. For its part, the BPP had a threshold of $10,000 for non-disclosure. However, they say that they hope to increase the figure to $1 million within the next month since they are attracting more interest. Treasury Robert Lopez shared more.
We are in probably the next press conference that we do have. The BPP has received several requests. One of the things that our financiers say, why did you guys set a threshold of 10,000, for non-disclosure? And so in the next month, I can tell you that we have more persons in favor than those against, that we will be raising the threshold probably to $1 million. In fact, what you see here was a foreign donation of $20,000. So there are people out there who are willing to give us money. What you see hanging on the wall is $2,000, and the rest of this, there's quite a few $1,000s here already. But I want to tell you that in the next month, we'll be announcing that, you know what, until the PUP and the UDP understand that we need campaign financing, and we've been calling for it, but they make a laugh of it. How are you going to stop the big boys from giving money under the table? Was the current Prime Minister's response to that question asked by Deli Ramos in 2008. Well, until that takes place, you know what? We'll be playing on the same game. We'll be playing by the same rules. Non-disclosure, we're not going to be compromising, but guess what? Anybody wants to come up and say, for $1 million, guys, here, I'm dying and you all can use it to save Belize, then so be it.
The BPP's new headquarters has been refurbished with a reported $20,000 that they recently received. Realizing that parents are struggling to meet the demands of employment and raising children, former educator and now youth advocate Annie Palacio organizes workshops to help parents with various aspects of parenting.
Children you have now are totally different from the children you were when you were growing up. You have technological based children who don't need to ask you a question. They can Google it. So these are the things that you need to stay abreast with your children, because many of our young people now feel as if, and many parents, not only young parents, but many parents feel that back in the days when you used to say something, see something, and then you relax. You don't really ask parents any questions. That's not the type of children we have now. They want to know why the sky is blue. They want to know why the sky is gray. They want to know why things happen, and you need to be able to answer them. And if you don't, they'll go somewhere else and might not get the correct answer. So these are the things that we need to face. We need to be realistic in raising our children. So these workshops embodies all of that. And it gives you a sense of strategies and techniques how you can go about helping your child, how about helping yourself, because many parents are stressed. The bills are to be paid, school fees are to be paid, your child might be not doing well in school, you don't know what to do. Some of our parents unfortunately comes I said our literacy rate was at 13%. It is. They cannot comprehend. So when you go home and give homework, they don't know what to do. And there are few parents that will come to you and say, teacher, can you help me? I can't read. Will you be able to help me? Not many parents will be able to do that. So all these workshops that I try to put together is to assist our parents, to let them know, both female and male, both mother and father, that they are important when it comes to raising your child right, showing them what morals are, what values are.
A group of 12 students from Middleton Estate State University in the U.S., accompanied by their professor, are in Belize on a cultural exchange with the hope of interacting with people in the media and the music industry. The project, coordinated by Youth for World Peace, is trying to improve the music and media industry in Belize by forming linkages with universities in the United States. CEO of Youth for World Peace, Mr. Darko, spoke with us about this year's project.
For World Peace, we have two components. We have the Homestay Network and the Wellness Ambassador. These students are here via our Homestay Network. This, our company, what we do is that we work with universities from the States, and they bring groups of students to come and experience our rich and diverse culture, our education system, and in particular this group, they're our media group. I've been working with them now for the past 2 years plus, and this is their third group. And what they do when they come is that they have sessions and seminars with our Belizean artists. Their lecturer, Ms. Deborah Wagner, who's an attorney, and she tries to get as many connections as she knows in cooperation with my company to teach them about our media industry, to talk about our culture, to talk about our music here in Belize in particular.
This is the fourth time a cultural exchange is taking place between the two agencies. Accompanying Professor Deborah Wagner spoke about the objectives of the group coming to Belize.
The true objective is to give U.S. and Belizean students an opportunity to learn together as to how to create a business from creativity, to create an infrastructure that allows for talent to have a way to create a career from it. So my specialty is entertainment law. I've practiced in the U.S. with world-acclaimed performers, Gloria Estefan, Shakira, Reba McEntire, Olivia Newton-John, all genre of music. And so I know a bit about the law and business of the entertainment industry. And so what I'm hoping to do, and I think we're making some progress, is to assist very talented young people to learn how to create a career out of their gift. And so intellectual property is the type of law that I specialize in. And so that's what we're learning via speakers, experiences, and meetings at BELIPO, the Belize Intellectual Property Office, and with Stone Tree Records, my great ally, who's helping me to create projects. All of them are focused on understanding what makes Belize work. That's what they're learning right now. Slowly but surely, they're trying to get their arms around a different place, but a beautiful place. The people are fabulous, the talent's incredible, and what we can do to have a creative impact.
Returning students, Kim Albitron visited Belize, that should be Alberton, visited Belize with the exchange program 2 years ago. She spoke with us about her hopes for this time around.
Well, actually, this is my second time in Belize. I came 2 years ago when we first came down here, and now I'm returning as a graduate student at MTSU. So what I'm looking for most is just talking more so with all the speakers that we're having and trying to learn more about how we can help here in Belize in terms of like media or music. That's what I'm more so interested in. But what our hope is to really build a partnership here with the University of Belize and other foundations as well to see how we can influence or see what kind of influence we can have more so on media production or music in terms of international international collaborations here with Belize and then back in the States to see how we can really help students here in Belize that are interested in different aspects of entertainment.
The students will be in Belize for the next 3 weeks. A number of United Democratic Party supporters in Ladyville Village Belize District this morning held a protest in front of their area representative's office. The protesters are angry with their area rep Beverly Castillo because of what they say was the victimization of Ingrid Hernandez. Love News spoke to James Reed, who was a participant.
Basically, what we made do with the protest against Beverly Castillo and the injustice away fire Miss Ingrid Hernandez and another worker who not call no name because they don't want no problem. She talk about justice and all these things in her she portfolio and none at all no go so, right? What she to do we, right? What she to do that force we as Ladyvillians and people at Belize to rise against politicians, and then the politician they have to realize that we give them the power. They even gone as far as say that how Miss Ingrid Hernandez and her Belizean, she could stay in the constituency, you know. She could stay in a BCR, BRC. We just not want her in office in a Ladyville. We want to pick up an office or carry that Hattieville, carry that Grace Rock, carry that anyone at the place same way, say make you win. Because according to she, Ladyville never did do nothing for she and Ladyville people ungrateful. According to she, that come out of her mouth.
The first complaint came from Ingrid Hernandez after she claims that she was fired by Beverly Castillo because she voted for Patrick Faber in the recent convention. She joined in on the protests and gave her sentiments.
I have been trying to put the pieces together of my life after she fired me, having 6 kids, a daughter in high school and one that is about to graduate. At a time like now, she will fire me, trying to put the pieces of my life back together. She's still condemning me. She's still bringing up all kind of false allegations against me. Hasn't she terminated me already? What else does Beverly Castillo want from me? I am here to say, miss, I might be disgruntled, not against my government, because I love my Prime Minister. He will always be my Prime Minister, always and forever. Dean Barrow is my Prime Minister. I give him enough respect, and I respect my party. I am not protesting against the government. I am protesting against the victimization caused by Beverly Castillo.
The participants say that every week they will be protesting in front of the office. World Oceans Day was observed yesterday. The U.S. Embassy spearheaded a cleanup campaign in Dangriga, and we hear more in this report from Harry Arzu.
In observance of World Ocean Day, the U.S. Embassy here in Belize led a beach cleanup campaign here in Dangriga yesterday. U.S. Ambassador Carlos Moreno spoke with Love News.
It's an initiative to help clean the world's oceans, beaches, and rivers. I'm very proud to say that we had 8 teams of embassy staff, students, teachers, and the police contingent here from Dangriga that picked up a total of 175 bags of trash. That makes an enormous difference on keeping the oceans and beaches clean here in Dangriga. We have to all work together, and we have to work every day. It's our responsibility to work together with Mother Nature to preserve the quality of our beaches in a manner that respects nature's work.
Reporting for Love News from Dangriga, I'm Harry Arzu.
Today, Oceana unveiled a mural in Belize City. The mural was painted by a number of students and a professional painter. It depicts Belize's versatile life of fauna and flora. Salisha Guy, field representative for Belize District Oceana, told us about the initiative.
And that project has been done in collaboration with Oceana, in collaboration with the Belize Coalition to Save Our Natural Heritage. And basically what the mural is showcasing is Belize as a short team. We're showcasing the wonders of Belize, highlighting our ecosystems, highlighting, the importance of Belize, depicting it in one picture so that Belizeans can see.
Guy told us about the different painters of the mural and the impact they hope to make.
So we have one professional artist on board. His name is Mr. Rafael Rodriguez, but we also had volunteers who came out with us to assist us with the painting of the mural. The mural location is on the seawall right in front of the Chateau Caribbean, and it's basically for Belizeans to see and appreciate our natural environment and hopefully to become better stewards of our environment.
The mural is painted on the seawall on Marine Parade across from Memorial Park in Belize City. Our thought conditioner for today comes from Benjamin Franklin. It reads, quote, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn." End of quote. This has been the evening news on Love Television for this Thursday evening. We invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. Thank you for watching. With your news, I am Renee Trujillo.